Welcome to Geeking Out with Shad. Well, got my truck plugged in at home. I think I got it up to, looks like 96% for my drive to Iowa. That's good enough. I mean, I was gonna originally just go with 80% because this truck's got plenty of range, but I'll live with 96%. And we're just gonna see how it goes. Driving down to Ames, Iowa. It's 220-ish miles. I'll put the distance down on the screen here once I look it up on Google Maps. And then I have to go there tonight, go to some reception thing, and then I'll be driving back tonight afterwards. And I do believe I'll have to stop at least once on my way back. So I will, see how much range I get, and then I will see how the charger works that I have to use, whichever one I choose to use. So as of right now, with 96%, my truck says I have 409 miles of range. I'm going to be getting on the highway, so I highly doubt I will get that much range. Because this has been, a lot of mixed style driving, city and little bits of highway here and there, but not constant highway. So when a lot of these people do these range tests, they do them at like a fixed speed and they try to keep it at that same speed and stuff. That's not how I drive. Like I don't like to be matching speeds with other vehicles and things like that. I like to kind of be in a more open area, not crowded in with a bunch of vehicles. So I'll speed up and slow down and make sure I'm always in that bubble, that more spacious area. And I will, like if I'm matching speeds with somebody, trying to pass them or barely going faster than them, I will speed up to not block people behind me that want to go faster and stuff like that. Like, so staying at like a fixed speed just isn't, in my opinion, realistic driving. And if you're one of those people that pulls into the left lane to pass another vehicle that's going like half a mile per hour slower than you, and you don't speed up and you just sit there for 5 minutes or more slowly passing that vehicle, that's annoying to everybody behind you. Like if you're going to pass somebody, just accelerate a little bit and get around them and then get back over in the right lane. So I prefer to drive like that. So this idea of being at a constant fixed speed just doesn't make sense to me. So according to this, I left with 215 miles to go to Ames. And I'm going to have 29% battery left, which is well over 100 miles of range. So if you kind of do some quick math, you're looking at 315 miles of range or so, like roughly in that ballpark, if I went all the way to 0% battery, which you generally don't do. So I would probably want to charge before I got down to 10%. So I feel like 250 to 275 mile stretches is about right to stay between that 10 and 80%. So 250 miles to 275 miles, that's well over 3 hours, 3.5 hours of driving or so. So I'm well ready to take a break by that time. So it's not a big deal to me. And I actually don't mind taking a little bit longer break. I don't want to get charged up in 5 minutes, or in people's case with gas, gassed up in 5 minutes and get back on the road. And it takes more than 5 minutes to get gas generally, and more like 10 minutes. But yeah, I'm fine with taking 20 to 30 minutes to charge and stretch my legs and get a snack, go to the bathroom, do all that stuff. To me, that's just not a big deal at all. On a longer journey, it might add maybe a half hour to an hour to your trip. but that's not a lot of time, especially when it's more pleasant to kind of take those breaks rather than just trying to push through and what I call white knuckling it to your destination. So it is what it is. Everybody's got their preferences, but man, the trip to Cleveland was like so flawless and smooth. I just am super impressed with this thing and the charging infrastructure. One feature I really like about this truck is the Google Maps integration. You can see there that it gives me the percentage that I'm going to have when I arrive. 29% battery when I arrive in Ames, Iowa. And it's just like regular Google Maps with all the other stuff, but it's just got these little added things integrated into it that make it super awesome. And it will also tell me what charging stations I should stop at, and it'll tell me the percentage when I get there, and so on. And it's really well done. I feel like it's one of the nicer features of this when you have an EV. So I just saw a billboard that said live craps. I was thinking, nobody wants to watch somebody take a crap. Then I realized we were coming up on a casino. So I'll be coming up on Albert Lea pretty soon, and that's about 75 miles in. And I used to stop there with my Ioniq 5 when I did this trip down to Iowa, and the reason is because there's kind of a dead space, at least pre-Tesla charging infrastructure, right? Because now the Ioniq 5 is now able to charge at the Tesla chargers, and this can charge at the Tesla chargers, which is nice. But before that, there's a big dead space between Albert Lea and Ames, and I just always wanted to make sure I had enough. Of course, it was a super short charging session because the battery wasn't very depleted, but I'd top it off. What's nice about this truck is I don't have to do that. I'm going to make it to Ames with 29% battery remaining. That is, if this stays accurate. I have seen it adjust a little bit, and it actually just recently adjusted high. When I started the trip, it was saying something like 26%. Now it's saying 29%. But as I go along, it might adjust. But I've really only seen it adjust anywhere from 1% to 2% points, maybe 3. But I haven't seen it do any wide range, so it's relatively accurate. But driving conditions vary quite a bit. I could have a strong headwind, I could drive faster, and so on. So it has to calculate all of that in. It takes some time to kind of figure out what my habits are, right? And if it's colder, or if I'm running the heat or the air, all that stuff affects it, right? So yes, the nice thing is that I don't even have to worry now. I can go all the way to Ames. I still have plenty of percentage when I get there. I could go, if I needed to go to Des Moines, I could continue on to Des Moines and not worry about having to charge until I got to Des Moines, things like that. And that really changes things. That makes it really nice to not have to do these like short stops, because you're worried that this next stretch is not going to have any chargers, or that you'll have a risk of running out. So if added range means anything, it just means that it makes the charging infrastructure easier. Like, there's some chargers out there that I know don't work very well, or they're kind of slow, and I can skip those and just do the ones that are really fast, that I know are fast. And app tends to navigate me to the good ones too, so that's always nice. Okay, so I've used 25% battery. Remember, I started with 96. I'm now at 71, and I've gone 83 miles. So that's pretty impressive, and I'm going 75 miles per hour now. I've been pretty consistent at 75 now for a while, but leaving the city, it was kind of not stop and go, but slow and fast, and bunch of different speeds. And there's been a couple of times where I've gunned it, mostly just to get out of situations I don't like to be in, or somebody's being slow in the left lane and there's a gap. Like I said earlier, I don't like to just stay at a constant speed. I like to get out of those just kind of sticky situations. So and usually that means accelerating, not slowing down. So yeah, I just drive like I drive, and that's what I like to do. It's like you want to know that you can just kind of drive it and not feel like you have to be like careful with how much you use the battery and so on. So and this truck's fast, so it's easy to get out of those situations. I had somebody coming in on the entrance ramp, somebody going slow in the left lane and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna accelerate and get out of the way of the guy trying to get in on the entrance ramp. Not accelerating to block him like people do. He wasn't even at the end of the ramp yet. I just saw him coming, and I'm like, well, I don't want to meet him at the end, so I accelerated to get around the car on the left so I could move over and allow that guy to get in. So it's stuff like that that I want to be able to freely do and not have to worry that I'm going to use too much battery by doing it. So there you have it. Pretty impressive. So yeah. Well, as I'm getting down here in Iowa, it's 63 degrees, so I have to take my jacket off. I have the air running. I set it at 70. And yeah, this thing is doing really well. I have to remember the last time I drove it, like to Cleveland, temperatures were between 30 and 40 degrees most of the time. We did get over 40 degrees for a little bit of the trip, but yeah, it was quite a bit colder, and I'm kind of feeling like 63 is probably some pretty ideal operating temps for this thing. But it's good to know that if it's in the 30s, it's not going to ding it too bad as far as range goes, because it had no problem going to Cleveland. Now, when you get down into the single digits and negative below zeros, it's probably going to ding it some, but this thing has plenty of range where it won't be that terrible when that happens. So and I guess come next winter we will have to do all those kind of range things and see how much the extreme cold impacts this one. I've done multiple videos about how the cold impacts EVs. If you're interested in checking out some of my previous videos. But yeah, I'm impressed with how this thing's doing so far. Still says 29% on arrival. I have 115 miles left to go. Okay, my estimated range when I get there just went up to 30%. So that's even better. Like, it's improving as I go. I have 96 miles left. I'm pretty blown away, to be honest. Yeah. This thing is a road tripping machine. Dang. So the remaining range on here says 243, and I never really trust that that's accurate in any EV that I drive, or even a gas powered vehicle that has remaining range. It's rarely ever accurate, but this one's, I'd be kind of surprised if I was able to get that much more miles out of this thing. But 60%. So yeah, we're doing pretty good. I almost feel like going 75 miles per hour. If I was to actually go all the way down, drain the battery, would I get close to 400 miles? I'm not doing that, but it is pretty impressive if you ask me. Okay, we are now at 50%. Actually, we just went 51% because I just missed it, but we have 43 miles left. So that means we've gone, let me do the math. Okay, so at 50, probably 51%, right? Because I missed the 50% mark, which was 46% left, because I started with 96. And that was about 185 miles on 50% of the battery. So that's pretty impressive. So I've been going a steady 75 miles per hour, and now it says 31% battery remaining when I get there. So that'll be pretty impressive. Okay, I am just arriving to Ames, or at least the Ames exit. And I have 33% remaining, or that's what it says I'll have here when I get there. So that kept increasing throughout the whole trip. It was getting better. So that's cool. So I got 36% battery left right now, so that seems accurate. Like, I'll get there with 33% battery. The guessometer says 132 miles remaining. So yeah, this is all looking pretty good. Okay, I arrived at my destination in Ames. I didn't even mention that I had Frida with me. But yeah, I actually ended up with 35% remaining. Wow, way better than originally predicted. And then 127 miles. I should probably check the wind direction. I don't know if I had a tailwind or whatever, because when I did start going west, I could feel there was a lot more wind. But it seemed like it was coming from the west. So there's, probably some reasons why it did better than it predicted, and then that means in a flip scenario where I have a headwind or something, it'll probably do worse than it's predicted. But all in all, the range is so much that those little fluctuations shouldn't really matter all that much for road tripping. So that's pretty cool. I'm super stoked at how well this did. Gonna go do this reception thing, and then head home, and I'll hit a charger on my way back. But I've got plenty of range to make it to the charger. I don't, technically I can go to the Tesla charger here in town and charge up. That's a smart thing to do. So we'll see what I do. And yes, the Volkswagen ID4 is right there, because she will be driving that back at the same time I do. So we'll have to try to pick the same charging stops so we can hang out and maybe walk Frida and stuff like that. She will have to stop a lot more than I do, obviously. Okay, so leaving Ames, and I'm at the Tesla charger here. This one actually has the Magic Dock. Even though I have the adapter, I don't need it because it has the built-in adapter in the charger. This one is running a little slower, 129 kilowatts versus what I'm used to, which is usually over 200. So not so sure why it's going slower. I'm trying to see what it says there. But it says it'd be ready by 10:25 p.m. That's if I went to 100, but then it's 5 after 9. Yeah, that would be a bit ridiculous, but that's only if I go to 100. It is at 52 now. I'm just gonna go up to 80 and then hit the road, and I should make it all the way back to Minneapolis, although we'll have to stop at Albert Lea to top off the Volkswagen ID4, which is also plugged in, but that does not have enough range to make it all the way back to Minneapolis. So, and honestly, if this keeps taking too long, I'll just unplug and go with her and just charge in Albert Lea. I mean, you can do that, especially with this, because it's got so much range, that if I'm just like, if this charger is just going to continue being super pokey, I might as well just get on the road and go find a faster charger. Okay, so since she was mostly charged and it has enough to get to Albert Lea, we decided to get going, and I started at 60%. And I could make it home, like 241 miles remaining, but I'm gonna stop at the Albert Lea charger with her and just top off while there, because if she has to charge, why shouldn't I? So that was the decision, because it's actually faster rather than waiting at the Tesla one for my truck to get charged up. That Tesla charger was going pretty slow. It usually isn't the case with Tesla chargers. I don't know why it was going pretty slow, but it would have taken another half hour or so to get my truck up to 80%, and it just doesn't make sense, because we can just stop at Albert Lea and top this thing off and be good to go. I mean, I gotta wait for her to charge. Her car charges at I think it maxes out at around 150, as where this will do up into the 300s or something like that. So what this does, if you click on it, the little bubble, map bubble, it shows you the charge stops, right? And so it's going to take me to the Electrify America in Albert Lea at 21%. And then, pretty sure, I don't know how high they expect me to charge, because I'm pretty sure I'll have more than 30% when I get home, if I go to 80% at Electrify America there. But that part I haven't quite figured out yet. Like, are they saying I should only charge to a certain percent, or do I go all the way to 80%? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I do like how it tells you all those details right there. So that's cool. And yeah, according to this, with 234 miles of range, so if I was to try to go straight home, I'd be like pushing pretty close to like probably 5% or lower, so that's not a smart idea. I almost forgot to do a video clip. So it was smart for us to leave that Tesla one and come here. This was charging at a super high rate. Now it's down to 209 kilowatts, but it is way faster than the Tesla one. It was up around 300 for a little bit. And if you're wondering why these kind of jump around, is it's got to do temperature management. By pushing that much power in that fast, things start to get hot, and then you have to reduce the amount of charges to manage the temperature. But it's already at 61%, so that's pretty amazing. Okay, here's one thing that's super cool. It's been charging for 21 minutes. Well, it went away. It said that it had 9 minutes of charging. So anyway, 30 minutes of charge time has been very consistent with this truck. And that's what's cool. This truck has a big battery. So the fact that it's been regularly charging within 30 minutes, that whole trip to Cleveland and back, seemed to be very consistent. 30-minute charges to get up to 80%. And that was getting us 3.5 hours of driving time. So that doesn't bother me at all. Like, being able to take those breaks is kind of nice, actually. So yeah, this is going to get charged up pretty quick. We're kind of having a race here with the ID4. That's also charging to 80%. And I think mine's beating that one. I can't see it from here, but that one charges at a much slower rate than the Silverado does. But again, it has a smaller battery, so it doesn't need to charge as fast as this does in order to get up there. But yeah, it's all pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked with how this truck performed on this trip to Iowa and back. So now one of the disadvantages is this Casey's that we're at is closed. So we're just kind of here in the middle of nowhere. More and more chargers are at truck stops, and I prefer those because then the truck stops are always open and there's, you know, you can get it, snacks and stuff like this. But like this kind of sucks because if you have to go to the bathroom, you go pee on the tree over there? There are no trees. There's a warehouse. You know, I mean, that's the thing, is it's not very convenient that these chargers are just tucked in the back parking lot of some closed store. So the more and more that chargers end up at like truck stops and, you know, 24-hour gas stations and places like that, it makes it nicer to travel, just like if you're traveling to get gas, right? And I wish companies would kind of wake up and realize, why do you keep sticking us off in like some dark alley place like this, just in the middle of nowhere with a closed store? That is just uncool, if you ask me. So it's kind of like an afterthought. Oh, we're just gonna put those EV people in some back lot somewhere. We don't care if they have to go to the bathroom or get snacks or anything, right? So there you have it. In my babbling, I'm already up to 70% just in this babbling session I'm having right here. So all right, I'm gonna get going on the road here in a few minutes and just a little more info for you. This is saying 318 miles remaining, 319. The truck's at 75 right now. I'm going up to 80. And I believe I have 92 miles. Yeah, there it is. 92 miles left to get home. So plenty of range to get home, or plenty of charge. So yeah, it's just gonna be a non-issue. So because I know when I get home I'm just gonna want to go to bed and I know I can make it. I think this video kind of gives you a good idea what this truck can do, and even a little bit of comparison with the Volkswagen ID4. Now keep in mind that's a 2022 model, no heat pump. It did get a little colder. It's 50 degrees right now. So very different experience with that car than with this truck. So again, that's the main reason why I wanted this truck, was because it's kind of a road trip monster right now. So there you have it. Hope you liked this video. I did a lot of little segments of things, and this is kind of real world. This is what you get. This is how it works. Right? I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.